Sam was reading a blog post on a website which was advertising an amazing deal on a hotel room. The room was only $1 to stay in for the night. He saw a photo of the room on the site. It wasn't fancy or anything, but he knew by spending the night in this hotel room, in particular in this city which he wanted to visit, for just a measly $1, could allow him to have most of his money for spending. There was one catch, but nothing that he couldn't handle. After all, he would be mostly sleeping. You might wonder why that would matter. I'll tell you why. The one condition is that the room will be streamed live on a website. It didn't mention the website, so Sam had no links to check it out. He didn't even know who has stayed there before him, or even if anyone has ever stayed there yet. When Sam arrived at the hotel, he met a man who greeted him with a pleasant smile and showed him into a room. He told him that the live stream will be starting in an hour. He thanked the man and then laid down on the bed checking his social media. An hour later he checked the laptop that was on a table over from his bed. He checked the viewer count. 1, 12, 36, 70. They seemed to be logging in very fast. He sat back waving into the camera at his audience, feeling like some kind of reality star. The views were past 300 now, 350, 400, 470, 500, 525, 590, 620. Then the views stopped at 666. Which he found kind of weird. Suddenly he heard a roaring noise, and then something attacked him from behind. Blood splattered all over the room after the frenzied attack. That's when the 666 Satanists licked their lips in satisfaction, watching Sam get slaughtered from the beast, knowing their pact with the devil worked. They had summoned the beast by using a spell from 666 of them to log on, and the number of the beast conjured the beast right when the 666th Satanist logged on. Afterwards, the laptop was taken from the room, and the police were clueless why a beheaded corpse was lying in the middle of a blood-stained hotel room.
It was a Saturday night. My parents went over to my neighbor's house to drink and hang out, which meant I was alone at home. I was pretty bored and wasn't old enough to drink, so I thought I could try to invite my friends over. But none of them were allowed over, so I tried doing other things to keep myself busy. The doors weren't locked, so my parents could get in, since they were next door. I got bored and it started getting late, so I decided to lay down in my bed. And before I knew it, I was fast asleep. I woke up because I heard banging on my front door. I was really confused because my door wasn't locked and I expected it to be my parents because it was really late at night. It was around 2 a.m. So I got out of my bed to go see who it was. Weird enough, it was my mom. She asked if I can put her to sleep since she wasn't feeling too well. I said, that's fine, and I went to go put her to bed. I asked her where Dad was. She said she didn't know. I put her to bed, said goodnight, and went back down to my bed to go back to sleep. I was a little confused because my dad usually would come home with my mom. So I texted my dad asking when he would be home. My dad replied telling me that him and my mom will be home very shortly and apologized for being home this late. My heart dropped. I texted my dad that I just put my mom to bed. He said, that's impossible. She's with me. I said, are you sure? He said, yes. I'm looking right at her now. I texted my dad to come home right away. As soon as they got home, I told my dad everything that happened. He looked at me in shock. We went upstairs to my parents' room to check who that person was. When we opened the door, there was no one there. My dad thought I was playing with him, but I told him that I wasn't, that I was being serious. He laughs every time I bring it up and says, "You got me good." I never found out who that lady was. It honestly still haunts me to this day. But all I know is the next time my parents leave the house, I won't be staying home alone again.
Me and two of my friends, Sarah and Julie, were having a sleepover. My parents were out until around midnight. We were kind of bored, so I decided to us play a simple game called Bloody Mary. It was a local urban legend where if you looked into the mirror and say Bloody Mary 12 times, she will appear. That was about it really. I didn't really believe any of it would happen, but I wish we never ever played that game. Let me tell you why. We had decided to play it, and we were all standing in front of a mirror in the bathroom. We all said Bloody Mary 12 times. Bloody Mary, 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 Bloody Mary. We felt kinda creeped out, except nothing happened. But then we all jumped when the door behind us opened, and all I can remember was screams. I ran out the door and down the stairs and out of the house. I rang my parents and they came back home quickly. When my parents came back, they collected me from my neighbour's house where I was staying at. When we all walked into the house, the police were already there. But the worst part was two of my friends vanished into thin air. They were never found. Years later, I was getting ready to go out on a date when I got such a shock. I walked into my bathroom and saw written on blood or lipstick, I'm not sure, but it was written on the bathroom mirror, "Bloody Mary is watching you." I froze, wondering who would do such a sick joke. Suddenly I heard movement behind me, and there was a woman covered in blood jumped from me. I screamed in horror. Then she stuck a needle in my arm, and a few minutes later I came around while strapped to a chair. My mouth was gagged so I couldn't scream. Another girl walked in, covered in blood. I wished I never ever played that game Bloody Mary. And then I wouldn't be in my living room strapped to a chair. The woman began to speak. "Well, do you know who we are? We are your two friends who you abandoned years ago when you ran out of your house, and it was your idea to play that stupid game. We were kidnapped by some psycho who held us in his basement and treated us like animals, but thankfully we escaped, and now we are going to give you the punishment that you escaped all those years." My friends both held up a big knife, and I knew I was about to be killed, but suddenly I heard a noise in the background. A man appeared. I felt relief. The man must have heard the shouting and came to save me. Then my heart sank when I realized by the girl's reaction it was the madman who was keeping them captive. I am now in a dirty, cold room where I don't know exactly where, but I hope someone picks up this letter, as I found a pen and paper hidden in the wall, maybe by other hostages. I am throwing this through the wall, so if you pick it up from the outside, through this hole that I throw it to, you will know exactly where I am. This hole in the wall could save my life. Lucky it is just big enough to me squeeze through this letter. If you do find this letter, please call the police and tell them, get me right away. This man is crazy, and it's only a matter of time before he kills me. He has already killed my friends for trying to escape. Please, please, someone help me. The scene was of panic and despair, as a truck had knocked down an old man trying to cross the road. A man appeared to have tried to give the man CPR, but unknown to everyone watching, the man who appeared to have tried to be the first to help the man was just an opportunist, and stole the man's wallet. He waved to the crowd as if to say he couldn't do anything. The man walked down the street checking the wallet. It was full of notes and had a strange looking coin in it. Suddenly, as he looked up from the wallet, a car hit him, straight on knocking him dead. Crowds gathered around in terror, seeing the man's bloodied body underneath the car. The man's wallet fell out of his hand, and the coin rolled onto the footpath where a passerby picked it up. It was a habit they had whenever they found a coin. They picked it up as a lucky coin. They were walking home that night, and before they could cross the road to their home, a truck ran right over him. Later that night, the news was covering the story of the 3 accidents. The last victim was a man who taught high school students at a local school. The second victim was a man who was on vacation, and the first victim was a homeless man who met the description of a man who stole a wallet from a witch doctor just an hour before his accident. The witch doctor was angry at his curse working wrong. He had wanted the curse to end after the first man was killed, coming into possession of the magic coin, not kill 2 more innocent victims who had nothing to do with stealing it. Walking down the street, the witch doctor noticed something on the ground. It shone up on him under the streetlight. It couldn't be, he said to himself. A few seconds later, a truck beeped the horn, but it was too late. He was ran over and killed instantly. My name is William. I was about to marry the girl of my dreams when I did something stupid. I started having an affair, and months before the wedding, my girlfriend Sharon found out and wanted me to marry her still. But the problem was, it wasn't that she forgave me. She was acting very erratic and possessive. She used to ask me to invite the lady I was having the affair with to the house, and to me tell her how much my girlfriend meant to me. And Sharon and I were getting married. It was a Friday night I heard the news that changed everything. Just weeks before my wedding, Sharon got killed in a car accident. I regretted the affair so much after having to identify Sharon at the morgue. I should have gave her all my world and married her, I know that. But a year later, besides all that, me and the girl I was having the affair with, who was called Lauren, were falling deeper and deeper in love. So much we got married that year. I felt so happy marrying her, but I felt something very wrong. It wasn't guilt, it was just the feeling Sharon was watching over me, livid with jealousy. I brushed the feelings to the side. The day of the wedding, I was so busy and excited, all those weird feelings were gone. Until my friends took a photo of me and my newly married wife together. Afterwards, they all just stared weirdly at their phones. Everyone was talking to each other. I wondered why. My friend showed me her phone, and there, in the photo of me and Lauren, was my ex-girlfriend Sharon behind us, who I knew must have been her ghost. I gasped, and as I did, I heard everyone screaming. We all ran out of the church as the whole church went up in flames. Luckily, we all escaped without a scratch. But there isn't a day passes by something strange doesn't happen, like I hear knocking at my door, or I feel a hand on my shoulder, and I dread something very big is going to happen, like our house is going to go up in flames like the church. I do not know what is going to happen next because of the angry, out-of-control ghost of my dead ex-girlfriend, Sharon.